Today we're going to be going over two of the most compact wearable action cameras out there right now. The DJI Osmo Nano versus the Insta360 Go 3S. I'm going to talk about which one will give you better video features and experience because I've used this one quite a bit. I didn't pick up the Ultra, which is a bigger one, because I feel like that one falls more towards like the GoPro or DJI Osmo action category. Now, these tiny cameras, I feel like they're a bit more wearable because of their size, and you're able to put these in a lot of cool little places. So that is why I'm only comparing these two right now. So we all knew DJI was going to eventually compete with Insta360 Go platform, but it took them a while because we've reached 3S. So they released multiple of these without DJI responding a little bit quicker. Kind of glad they did. I really like how it looks and how it feels so far, but there is a few differences that I do want to talk about. Some of those changes are going to involve the size of the cameras while they're in their docking systems. So as you can see, the Nano is a little bit taller than the 3GO. But if we put them side by side this way, you can see that the 3GO is a little bit thicker than the Nano. Now, if we were to remove them from their docking systems, we can see that the Nano is a lot bigger than the 3GO, thicker and taller. So depending on that is going to be dependent on what camera you want to go with. If you're looking for size, the Insta360 Go 3S is going to be the smaller one. In terms of mounting solutions, I won't even knock on either of these for that because there's clips and mounts for these cameras for whatever you want. So you can get a hat clip for this one, the Nano, or you can get a hat clip for the Insta360, and they both work very similar. I don't see any issues or differences between the two. One thing I will say is that with the Nano, I didn't get this important clip that I needed for it to mount to my little GoPro mount here. This mount didn't come with the Nano. I had to pick this one out of my Action 5, and now I'm able to use this to mount my camera to this GoPro rig that I'm going to set up both the Insta360 and the Nano. Going over some video footage of both of these cameras, the Nano does have 10-bit plus D-Log, so if you're into color grading and you want your footage to be uniform, this camera is going to be way better than picking up the Insta360 Go. But to me, I don't color grade any of my footage. I don't really care for that stuff. I just kind of go whatever the camera gives me. So either of these cameras work for me perfectly fine. I did review the footage that I took, which I will show you. Alright, so both of these cameras are recording in 4K 30 frames per second, and from what I'm looking on the screens is 3GO is having a little bit hard time picking up these shadow areas, whereas the Nano is doing a pretty good job bringing those shadows up. So can't really see a lot in here with the Insta360, but with the Nano looks pretty good. And I think I favor more the DJI colors that I'm getting to my eyes. But again, you be the judge of that, decide which camera is better for you. But for me, I think I like the footage that's coming out of the Nano a little bit better than the Insta360. For low light, both of these cameras suck. Despite the Nano having super night mode or whatever it's called, recording with these in low light isn't going to be great at all because of the size of the sensor. The sensor on the Nano is going to be a little bit bigger, not too far off from the 3GO. So don't let that be the determining factor. I will show you footage now. Now same area. Now I'm using the night mode on the Nano. Let's see how much more different it is. For some reason it looks like the standard 4K 30 frames per second looks better than this super night mode or whatever. But I don't know, you'll be the judge of that. So based off of that footage in low light, you make your decision as to which camera looks better, but that's the results that I got. So for low light, I wouldn't use these cameras as much, but because the Nano does have a designated low light mode, then if I'm really looking for low light function, I'm probably gonna lean over the Nano because it has its own low light mode. The Nano does shoot 4K 60 frames per second, whereas the Go 3S shoots 4K 30 frames per second. The stabilization on both of these is really, really good. Although I did notice a little bit less warping and artifacts on the Nano, mainly because it has that horizon level feature. So it'll keep everything like it'll keep the horizon leveled, and that tends to give you a more stable footage. Whereas the 3GO doesn't really do that. It does have a feature similar to it where it'll kind of sense whether you're in landscape or vertical mode and change your picture depending on that. But again, I notice a lot less warping on the Nano than I did on the 3GO. And that is something I've always noticed with this camera. I do get a lot of warping when I'm like stepping a little bit more aggressive, or if I'm riding my electric bike like over some dirt or something. I do notice warping here and there, but with the Nano, I didn't notice it as much after reviewing the footage. I did use this rig right here to film both of these cameras at the same time, so the footage is pretty much the same exact conditions and environment. So I think that is a pretty honest way of interpreting the video quality on these. The battery life. The Nano, obviously it's bigger, as I mentioned multiple times already. So we're just gonna get better battery life out of the Nano. I know for a fact that for 4K 30 frames per second, we can get about 90 minutes of recording time with just the camera here. Whereas the Insta360 Go, you're getting about 38 minutes of 4K 30 frames per second. So there is a huge advantage of picking up the Nano, but again, it's a lot bigger, so you can expect to have a little bigger battery in this one. The longer runtime if they're in their docks, because the docks are external batteries for them. The UI for both of these cameras is really easy to learn. The apps are really easy to navigate through, so once you learn them, you should just be fine. I don't see which one is better than the other. They're both really easy to use. Another thing is that this camera has a Nano is going to be gesture control, so you can nod your head, you raise your hand or tap it or whatever, and it'll start recording automatically. I don't ever use any of those like gesture controls that my drones had, so I don't think I would use the gesture controls on this. So if that's something you like, you might want to lean more towards this camera, but the Insta360 Go 3S whatever doesn't have it. So again, that's just the difference between these two. So to end the video, do I recommend you purchasing the DJI Osmo Nano over the Go 3S? And that is going to be a yes. I know the Go 3S is a little bit older, but the Nano does have a lot more features than the Go 3S right off the bat. You get better battery life. You do get more storage. They do have a 64 and 128 gig storage versions of these, but you also get a micro SD slot in here, so you can increase your storage by adding that SD card. You also get the option to use wireless microphones, whereas the Go 3S, you can't even use a wired mic using that Type-C connector. Having the option to use a wireless microphone is super good because you're able to get cleaner audio using the microphone. If you already have a Go 3S and you're thinking about upgrading to the Nano, I feel like you don't really need to. You're gonna get very similar video footage from both of these cameras, especially if you're using this camera just to get like B-roll shots or some cool POV stuff. You don't really need to buy the Nano. But if you're using this as your primary camera, you need more battery life, you need more storage, then you might want to upgrade to this one because it's built more for like a vlogging style setup, because you're able to use the microphone, you can record for longer, the battery's better, you get 10-bit, you get color grading. So this is probably going to be a better option. But if you just need some cool shots just for a quick little B-roll, this is probably going to be it. If you go on Facebook Marketplace and look these up, you could probably get a used one for like 150 bucks. So you don't have to spend almost $400 for one of these. You can just get a used one of these on Facebook Marketplace or Photo Drone Works if they're up for sale there. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Hopefully you guys got some value out of it, and I'll see you guys.